hardest thing is producing the immediate response to a question for which there is no alternative answer. Sharon, Emery. Those are just some of the reactions I get when I speak. Obviously, folks have no idea what they look like from my perspective. Obviously. Listeners, I call them disabled listeners, are so caught up in their own discomfort when I stutter that that's all they're thinking about, ending it. Everyone has struggled and stumbled to speak, if only momentarily. And those deeply discomforting moments come flooding back when listeners hear a stutterer speak. But let's turn that idea on its head for a second. What if I told you that disfluent speech is almost always a problem because of the listener, not the speaker? Think about that. What kind of physical pain were you in when you stumbled on your speech? None, right? Any pain you may have comes from channeling your listener's discomfort. It's the listener who's causing all of the trouble. It's the listener who's in pain. Don't believe me? Look back at those slides. Woo. Yeah, ooh, that guy. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and her. You'll recognize immediately why you are absolutely mortified every time you're disfluent, and why disfluent people bug the shit out of listeners worldwide. I've seen you wince when I speak, or look away, or actually break out in what I can only assume is nervous laughter. Not that I feel that sorry for you, but I do feel sorry for you. My real concern is the point at which you stop reacting to me and actually start to listen to me. And my deepest fear is that you never do. My stutter appears to take up your entire auditory capacity. You ask me questions I've already answered, or you anxiously wait for me to stop speaking, totally deaf to the meaning of my words, looking only to fill up the silence with your own big, fluent voice. Why does my digression from the norm, which costs only seconds of your time, throw you so far off from your appointed role as listener when I'm the speaker? About 5% of all children go through a period of stuttering that lasts 6 months or longer. 3/4 of them will stop by late childhood, leaving about 1% as long-time stutterers. Among this group, stuttering can be treated, but it can't be cured. Treatment can create socially acceptable fluency rates, or it can simply make someone slightly less disfluent. Experts think several factors contribute to stuttering, including genetics. 60% of the time it runs in families. And also neurophysiology, differences in the way stutterers process speech. Stuttering affects 4 times as many men as women, so I really am as special as I'm sure I seem. Lots of famous people have stuttered. Bob Hope and Marilyn Monroe, and more recently, Emily Blunt and King George VI. But none of them still stutters. So to me, what's the point? Can you only be successful and famous without a stutter? What kind of inspiration is that? 68 million people, 68 million worldwide stutter, 3 million in the US, 100,000 in Michigan, and 1,100 right here in Lansing. But my question is, where the heck are they? I know of only one other person in town who stutters, and he's my former speech therapist, so it's a small group. I want to out the stutterers in Lansing who aren't cured and aren't talking, and I want them to get out there and make some noise. Hey, oh my gosh, I love that enthusiasm. Okay, but wait, my first suggestion is I think they should hold up the drive-through lane at McDonald's. So that might impact you. And make the world's longest order for a Big Mac. The other thing I'm suggesting is make a waiter tap dance while you insist on speaking the item you want instead of pointing to it on the menu. It drives them crazy. And finally, be brave enough to speak up in places like this where disfluent speakers are rarely invited, and tell hundreds of absolute strangers the importance of listening to you. So your first challenge as newly enlightened listeners is this. There are a million little ignorances in the world, some of which fall to each of you to fix. I encourage you to blow them up every chance you can. I would certainly appreciate it. So here's a crash course on how to do that. Number one, my stutter is my accent. So don't try to take it away from me by supplying the word I'm working to say. That's like correcting the pronunciation of a foreign speaker who's not looking for your help. When you do that, you take away my power. So don't do it. And for Pete's sakes, give me the dignity of saying my own name in my own time. I have to confess to a mean streak, just a little one. And when I'm exposed to listeners like this woman, I can let her go on and on, naming every name in the book. But only when I'm really starved for entertainment. Stutterers don't suffer fast talkers gladly, not because we're jealous of them, but because we're appalled by the sheer volume of their output, only a small portion of which carries much meaning. If you're going to add your voice to the communication deluge, don't abuse language by rendering it meaningless. Stutterers don't waste their time on empty banter because it's not worth the effort required to produce it. They have to be ready for when their voices are truly needed. Fluent speakers, including all of you, should be just as judicious. So that's your second and final challenge. Make darn sure your words count for something. Thank you.